police officers indicted on federal charges.
The abuses of the gun trace task force.
How were these officers caught? What were the consequences of their corrupt behavior? This video will delve into 5 incidents where law enforcement were exposed for engaging in corrupt practices, ultimately leading to their capture. Number 1. Corrupt cops get caught on camera.
What's going to be happy to tell you once I see who I'm talking to, all right? Hey, I need you to let me know, like, what's going on, like, what happened? I'd be happy to tell you once I see information. I'm not giving you my information until you tell me what you put me on. You're going to jail is what's going on. For what? You ain't, what charges? On what charges?
The situation escalated further.
Get out of the car now. Get out of the car, man. Get out of the car. Okay, get out. Get out of the car. You ain't getting out of the car, are you? Get out on the ground. Put your hand behind your back.
The incident drew the attention of the American Civil Liberties Union, who requested that the Taylor Police Department open an investigation in response to a dashcam video of a 2016 arrest it calls terrifying and violent. The ALCU sent a letter dated May 23rd asking the Downriver Detroit Suburbs Police Department to review the stop, retrain officers if necessary, amend policies, and discipline the officers involved. Taylor Police declined to comment on the incident, but said an investigation would be conducted. The Internal Affairs compliant ultimately found no fault on the part of the officers. Still, the police department revised its policies to require officers to inform drivers of the reason for the stop. Don't forget to subscribe for more insane videos like these. Number 2. Dirty cops caught on camera get exposed. The incident occurred outside a convenience store, where 2 deputies from the Crawford County Sheriff's Department and an officer from the Mulberry Police Department engaged in a violent confrontation with the man. The video begins with the officers appearing to hold the man down, while one officer punches his knees and grabs his head, repeatedly knocking it into the concrete. Another officer throws a hammer fist, and a third officer on his feet seems to kick the man. Toward the end of the video, a woman in the car shouts at the officers to stop. And one of the 3 responds by pointing toward the camera. Another shouts for her to back up, cursing at her. According to reports, police have been looking for the man, identified as 27-year-old Randall Worcester from South Carolina, after he allegedly spat on a store clerk and made terroristic threats in a neighboring town. The events leading up to the video are unclear, but it's mentioned that Worcester was quickly transported to the hospital, later released and taken into custody. The extent of his injuries remains unknown. The incident occurred at about 10:40 a.m. Sunday outside a convenience store in Mulberry in Crawford County. Mulberry is located near Arkansas's western border with Oklahoma and about 140 miles northwest of Little Rock. The man was accused of threatening an employee at the convenience store and pushing and punching a deputy in the back of the head after being confronted, according to the Associated Press. He was sent to the hospital, released, and sent to a county jail. He's being charged with second-degree battery, resisting arrest, refusal to submit, possessing an instrument of crime, criminal trespass, criminal mischief, terroristic threatening, and second-degree assault, according to state police. 2 officers are deputies with the Crawford County Sheriff's Office, and the third is an officer with the City of Mulberry Police Department. State police said that they've opened a use of force investigation and will submit their findings to the Crawford County prosecutor, who will determine whether the use of force by the law enforcement officers was consistent with Arkansas's laws. Number 3. A councilman who was also a police officer gets arrested after allegedly abusing illegal drugs and passing out in a car. In a shocking turn of events, a city councilman and former cop in Cranston, Rhode Island, Matthew Riley, has been charged with drug possession after being found asleep in his car with drug paraphernalia in his hand. The incident, captured on a police officer's body camera, reveals the interaction between Riley and the officer as they discover the drug paraphernalia and address the situation.
Riley's sleeping, his mouth wide open as the officer approaches.
And a small pipe in his hand.
I'm just gonna pat you down.
Yes, sir.
Did you lock your fingers? Did you lock your fingers? Do you have any weapons on you?
No, not at all.
The officer then informs Riley that somebody had called him regarding his situation, claiming that Riley appeared to be choking in his sleep.
Well, Orestes gonna come check you out, man. I can't let you go. You were literally choking in your sleep.
Riley explains that he suffers from sleep apnea and apologizes for the situation. The officer then points out what's in Riley's hand, highlighting the seriousness of the matter. Riley simply responds with a casual "sorry," seemingly downplaying the significance of the drug paraphernalia.
Listen, I have a body camera. Obviously,
Yeah,
everything I
obviously.
have is recorded.
And he can't ignore what he's observed. He mentions that another officer will come to assess Riley's well-being and that it's not a criminal investigation unless drugs are found. However, he emphasizes the need to document the incident. The pipe is returned to Riley, and the officer continues questioning him about his drug use and addiction struggles. During the conversation, Riley admits to a recent relapse after being clean for 13 years and attributes it to a difficult divorce.
How long have you had this problem, man?
It was a relapse. I've been clean for 13 years. Just went through a really, really bad divorce recently.
The officer expressed concern about potential fentanyl use, as Riley appeared to be choking and someone had flagged him down in distress. EMTs arrive and check on Riley's health, and while they attend to him, the officers search his vehicle. Inside the car, they find a chore boy scoring pad in the glove box, which is known to be used in making similar pipes. The officers discuss the need to test the substance found in the car to confirm its nature and possible lacing with fentanyl. They exercise caution due to the potential dangers of handling unknown substances. A second officer arrives on the scene, and they decide to charge Riley together. They take photos of the evidence and discuss having Riley's mother retrieve the car due to the presence of a white powder, which they identify as crack cocaine. They express concern about the cleanliness and potential health risk associated with the vehicle's condition.
This is a terrible situation. We're all in a tough spot, but we gotta do what we gotta do right by the numbers. It'll help you in the end. That's terrible. You know what I mean? You were down in the car.
No, I have an appointment set up for the 17th.
You gotta get on a program right away. I look at you.
Yeah.
You're not the Matt Riley that we know. Trust me.
As Riley prepares to leave with the officers, they have a heart-to-heart conversation about his well-being and his need to seek help for his addiction. The officers stress the importance of his health and personal growth over any political career he may have.
Listen, your health and your well-being is worth way more than any political career.
I don't care about it.
Yeah, we'll keep it.
They desire to see him on a positive path and emphasize the dangers of continued drug use. Riley raises concerns about the media finding out about his arrest, to which the officer explains that they're only required to release information as mandated by law. They assure Riley that they won't disclose anything to the media unless legally obligated. They also offer support and monitor him due to potential fentanyl ingestion. Ultimately, Riley faces a drug possession charge, leading to his resignation as the chairman of Cranston's Republican Party. The city's mayor publicly urges him to step down from the city council, which he eventually does. Riley was scheduled to appear in court the following month. That was unprofessional of an officer. But this next clip is Number 4. Lawsuit filed after cop pulls gun on 10-year-old in Michigan.
Protesters hitting the cold Michigan streets today. Township officer who handcuffed and pointed a loaded gun at an 11-year-old earlier this year.
In a disturbing incident that sparked outrage and raised questions about police conduct, attorney Diane Webster Cox addressed a protest in Pittsfield Township, Michigan, demanding answers regarding an unarmed 10-year-old boy being handcuffed and held at gunpoint by a police officer.
Makes him stand back up. Then at that point, what he does is he puts him in handcuffs.
Webster Cox represents Markia Dixon, the boy's mother, who's filed a lawsuit against the officer, seeking $400,000 in damages for the emotional injury caused to her son. The incident occurred on April 16th when the boy's father drove him to Briarwood Mall, where an investigation was being conducted into an unrelated shooting. Ann Arbor police instructed the father to leave the area. However, he drew police attention by driving the wrong way on a one-way street near the mall and speeding over 100 miles per hour on the freeway after leaving. The video shows that when the police apprehended the father in a nearby shopping mall parking lot,
put the phone down now! Sit! Lay down! Lay down! Lay down! Stand up, okay? Stand up, you're good. Hey, you're good, you're good. All right, stand up, I got you. You're gonna be okay. I got you. I'm gonna detain you for right now, okay? Are you okay? It's fine, these come off just as easy, all right? You know why you took off running? No.
The boy's father was not involved in the Briarwood Mall shooting, which was a dispute between two acquaintances inside of one of the stores. The only item in the boy's possession was his phone, temporarily confiscated until he could call his mother to pick him up from the scene. Dixon mentioned that the officer attempted to comfort the boy by giving him a Gatorade, but emphasized that it didn't erase the fear and trauma inflicted upon him, which may affect him for the rest of his life. She expressed her frustration, stating that her son's trust in law enforcement has been shattered, and he'll now live in constant fear. This changed everything about him. The boy's mother, Markia Dixon, said in an interview on Tuesday with local outlet CW50 Detroit at a Black Boys Matter protest held in Pittsfield Township. Dixon told the outlet that prior to the terrifying encounter with the officer last spring, her son was happy and outgoing, but revealed that the boy is now a shell of his former self, traumatized by the incident. He sits in the house all the time now, Dixon said. He really doesn't want to go outside. In the 12-page filing, Dixon accuses the officer of violating the civil rights of her son when he pointed his loaded service weapon at him and put him in handcuffs while the boy trembled and desperately clutched at his phone. Number 5. America's most corrupt police squad apprehended.
7 police officers indicted on federal charges.
The gun trace task force are among the worst Baltimore City police corruption ever uncovered.
On March 1st, 2017, 7 Baltimore cops were indicted on federal racketeering charges. They were charged with stealing from citizens, dealing drugs, and committing fraud. It became known as the Gun Trace Task Force scandal and is one of the country's most egregious examples of police corruption.
I'm Sergeant Wayne Jenkins with the Gun Trace Task Force. So the reason you gentlemen being stopped today is you don't have a seatbelt on. How come you don't have a seatbelt on?
The abuses committed by the Gun Trace Task Force have caused widespread mayhem and have left the community grappling for words to discuss the magnitude of the wrongdoing.
It was crooked cops around and doing bad things to people.
These officers engaged in a wide range of illegal activities, including breaking into homes, stealing drugs, and even carrying BB guns that they could plant on their victims after shooting them, all in an effort to cover up their actions. They flagrantly disregarded legal procedures, conducting unlawful searches and seizures without obtaining warrants. Their arsenal included a machete, grappling hooks, masks resembling skeleton, and various other burglary tools. But that's not all. The corruption extends beyond the officers' criminal acts. They deliberately targeted vulnerable individuals, such as those with criminal records, people on probation, and suspected drug dealers, believing that these victims will be unlikely to report the abuses. One victim expresses their astonishment at being arrested and having their money seized.
They locked me up and took my money. I'm like, God dang, you could have kept the money and just let me go.
Questioning why the officers didn't simply let them go while keeping the cash. Another victim shares a distressing incident in which they were pulled over for a minor seatbelt violation, only to have their tire intentionally punctured by the officers. The absurdity and senselessness of these actions are evident.
So they pulled me over. You don't have a seatbelt on. I ain't think about it like seatbelt.
The violation of public trust committed by the Gun Trace Task Force is unfathomable. The impact on the lives of those affected is immeasurable, leaving them bitter and suffering the consequences of this abuse of power. Many unanswered questions surround this case. Who oversaw these officers? What were the checks and balances that should have caught these actions? It's disheartening to discover that the state's attorney's office was aware of the situation, yet chose to turn a blind eye. The clips in this video are brought to you by TYT Sports, MLive, and Law and Crime Network. Check out the description below for a link to their channels and give them the credit they deserve. If you like the video, you'll like this one as well, so click now.